Hi, welcome back to my channel and to part two of You Deserve an Abuse-Free Life. I made some promises in the first video yesterday about having an abuse-free life and that I would share some ideas of how to measure how the relationships look in your life and how you're treating yourself as well. And so it's going to take this video and the next video to share these ideas. I made a lot of promises yesterday. So today I do want to share a little bit more about the handout because on the back there were some things that I think are important that I want to share. The first little section before I get to resources at the top of the second page are some ideas around healing and breaking free. How could I have left that out yesterday? So I talked about the trauma bonding and how intense that connection gets, and how there is even a chemical release related to the emotions of a craving for that relief after being intermittently mistreated and then getting the apology and treated well, and that value is restored, that there becomes a cycle and a craving for that relief, which is just how the human body works in these relationships. And it's why that bonding intensifies, because that need to get the relief again. So how do you break free from something like that? Well, all of my videos are just touching on with little ideas to help validate you, and hopefully if something resonates, it can affirm something and maybe inspire you. It's not going to be comprehensive information really on any of these topics. I'm just here to share little bits and pieces. And so breaking out of an abusive relationship is complicated, and over time I'll build on these ideas. But today I want to share one concept about how to break that trauma bond. And it's distance and time, and possibly literally going no contact if possible. You know, even in relationships that are difficult and toxic, and say there's stuff going on both sides of a couple, and they need clarity, and to get clarity really is some distance. Now, especially from abusive relationships, if you get some distance, it's like the clouds part and you start seeing things so much more clearly, especially where your nervous system is dysregulated. Remember, when our nervous system is activated, it's difficult to think clearly in those situations. But sorting out the intricacies of a relationship, that if you have clues that it's throwing you off and you're having a hard time thinking clearly, that distance is so important. Some distance and some time away to get your clear thoughts back and find that grounding inside of yourself. So self-compassion is huge. Support, healthy messages, it's okay to leave, that you deserve to be safe, you deserve an abuse-free life, and support that speaks the truth. Having a friend or two, or a therapist, or people in your life that can give you that validation as that self-trust is rebuilding. You know, gaslighting destroys self-trust. And then there's so much confusion and second-guessing yourself. And sometimes we need some safe external reinforcement to remind us, you know, no, that shouldn't have happened like that. No, you didn't bring that on yourself. No, you didn't deserve that. And to help clarify while that self-trust is rebuilding. And the goal being of reclaiming that self-trust inside yourself, and then you'll know the truth without external validation. But having safe support and friends when breaking out of abusive relationships is so, so important. And it helps clear up that fog. You know, like I said, that distance will give some time and those clouds start parting, but some healthy messages from friends to support you in the truth. So one thing that this really should go without saying, and unfortunately, this still happens a lot. I hear so much. I have people come in my office and they got messages, maybe even from a religious leader or even family members that say you should just tough it out, be more long-suffering, do this and this and this to please the abuser. It's hard to believe that this is still happening, but it is. And that is never, ever the answer. Why are we telling victims to just be more pleasant or tolerate abuse longer? Why aren't we telling the abusers to stop abusing? But again, in our situation, and that I'm saying in the context of if there's like a religious leader or something who's giving that message, it's never putting the blame on the victim. That's never the right answer. So that kind of sums up the most important parts that I wanted to share with this handout. And now I would like to share one of the tools to measure and give you an idea about relationships. Now this one fits really well with like dating or bringing new people into our life. And in my next video, I'm going to give you a tool that you will not be able to unknow and unsee after we go over the one tomorrow. But the one today is called the pizza analogy. And I learned this from a YouTuber many years ago. Her name is Melanie Tonia Evans, and she has some great programs and does some coaching around helping people get out of narcissistic relationships. I don't know where she heard the analogy, but that's where I learned it. And then I add some things and change it a little bit and modify it and add some details. And again, if I have someone sitting in front of me and know the details of their life, we can together kind of add those details so you can apply it to yourself in your own life. But it's just a really simple thought experiment. And I want you to imagine that, and in this analogy, food is going to represent self-love. But imagine you live in this house by yourself and you're in this kitchen and it's completely empty and you're starving and you don't have any money and you don't have a car, you don't have a way to go get food, and you're in this kitchen, the cupboards are empty, the refrigerator is empty, and you're starving. And there's a knock, knock, knock at the door. And you open the door, and no offense to pizza delivery people at all, but in the analogy, the pizza delivery person has this huge, hot, steaming, delicious pizza. And he says, I have this pizza for you. You just have to take me along with it. And all the abuse that's going to come along. Well, if you're starving, you're much more likely to take that pizza. But now I want you to imagine that your kitchen is completely stocked. The cupboards are full. The fridge is full. You just cooked yourself a beautiful meal and ate it, and it was delicious. You've got a car to go buy food when you need it. You could order food. You can go meet friends for food. You have all of these resources, but just literally for this thought experiment, just imagine you're not hungry and there's a knock, knock, knock at the door and you open it. Pizza delivery person, here is this big, huge steaming pizza, but you have to take me and all my abuse along with it. No, we close that door. And you can add to this analogy thinking about that the vulnerability of what we're willing to tolerate if we are in lack of something so important as our value, our self-love. And I think Melanie Tonia Evans, she's got 4, and I don't know if I'm going to think of it. Let's see, safety, security, value. Maybe it's safety, security, value, and love. That we need to be providing those things for ourselves so that we're not vulnerable when entering relationships, that those needs are met, we know how to do it, we feel safe and secure, single, on our own. And what will happen if we haven't learned how to meet those needs for ourselves and we get into relationship, there is that risk that we're going to become dependent on it from another person. And when, if anything abusive happens, it's going to be harder to leave that person once that dependency is established. So we meet our own needs, fill our own kitchens, make sure they're stocked up. Now we've got a beautiful back door that opens to the ocean, and there's a sailboat, and 4 friends are waiting to meet us for dinner. And someone knocks on the door, and we go, I didn't order a pizza. So I hope you like the analogy, and I hope you can apply it. And the next video, part 3 of Abuse-Free Life, is going to be another tool to measure, as clear as day. How am I being treated in my relationships, and how am I treating myself? Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.